Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. I'm a life and marriage coach for moms, wife, mom of 3, and I'm also an Aries, and for my fellow human design nerds, a sacral manifesting generator. This podcast is for women who want to be happier in their marriage as they navigate their journey through motherhood, even if you're like me and you weren't shown how while growing up. Inside, we're going to be talking about breaking generational cycles when it comes to how to handle conflict in healthy ways, redefining motherhood your way, and prioritizing your well-being, because here, we believe that women don't have to sacrifice their happiness to be a great mom. And a quick note to mamas listening with kids around, you may want to pop your earbuds in because nothing is left unsaid on this show, which means there may be times where something I say isn't meant for little ears. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I am feeling very inspired to talk about the invisible load of motherhood based on a coaching call I just hopped off of. I've been working with a couple more recently, and I just got off the call with the husband, and I wanted this to be just like a riff about the invisible load of motherhood and how much they don't know. Okay, how much they're unaware of what your experience is and how important it is to actually communicate. The invisible load of motherhood is something that all moms have experience with. It is a term that we're pretty familiar with if you're anywhere on social media, because this is a very prevalent topic that we discuss. Now, if by chance you've been living under a rock and you don't know what I mean by invisible load, this is all the stuff that happens behind the scenes that we cannot show people, right? It's like the stuff that we think about, all the planning, right? All the worrying that we do, that we carry in our minds day in, day out, from, oh, I gotta make sure I help this child with their project. I gotta make sure I meal plan so that when I go to the grocery store, I know what to buy. And I have to factor in, what do my kids like to eat? What do we like to eat? Who needs to go see the doctor? Oh gosh, I have to pay the bills. Or, all of that is the invisible load, right? The less physical, tangible things that we do and take care of that is not so easily noticed, like mowing the lawn, taking the garbages out, repairing things around the house, right? It's not as visible unless you're really, really paying attention. It's just kind of stuff that gets done. It's the behind the scenes work that we often take on and causes so much overwhelm because it's taking up so much, right? And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I brought this term up to my client and he had zero idea what it meant. Big fat zero, okay? And I was not surprised. As soon as I described to him all the thoughts that his wife might be having on a daily basis, he was like, his jaw dropped. He's like, that sounds like exhausting. I'm like, exactly. It is, right? And so I wanted to come on here because I think it's really important to check yourself, right? Check yourself with how much you are doing, all that thinking that you're doing, that you are not sharing responsibility-wise with your partner. Because it's very likely they have no idea what's needed to happen because things just happen. It's like you're a magical fairy and you just wave a wand and it happens. Except that there's a lot more energy and effort and work and anxiety that goes behind doing all that behind the scenes work. Okay. So the example I used with him is like imagine going to like a concert and you've got Beyonce up there she gets all the credit, right? She's out there performing her ass off, putting on a really good show. But you know what? That wouldn't be possible with everybody else who's handling all the things, right? Behind the stage, all the planning, the setting up, all of the things. There's so much that needs to happen in order for that to happen. And so for us as mothers, we are taking on so much automatically. We've just put our names on the list and things just happen. And so if things just happen, you don't have to worry about it, then what are you going to do? You're not going to worry about it, right? It's not something that has to be on your radar. But what happens is we, because we're taking all of that on, tend to get frustrated and overwhelmed and burned out because we're not letting them in on all this madness going on in our minds. And so when we get upset, that's the same as expecting them to read our minds on what we think they should be doing. And then we're getting mad at them because we're not communicating the things that we think they should be doing, right? This version of, well, you would be an amazing husband and partner if you did X, Y, Z, except that it never leaves our head. It stays up there. And so while we are watching them being really strong advocates of their own self-care, we're noticing how little we're taking care of ourselves and feeling resentful and jealous. But we're not actually speaking up. We're not filling them in on, here's all of the things that I do. Look at this crazy list, right? And until he's able to notice the breadth of all the stuff that needs to be done, right? All of it, he may not be aware of how much you're doing. So he might be thinking, well, I'm doing a lot because I'm doing more than my dad did, right? So by comparison, he is an amazing husband. But we cannot compare ourselves, right? Like, just like how we can't compare our marital happiness to our parents, especially if your parents did not have a healthy marriage. You thinking that your marriage is better is not a good bar to set. Your marriage should be what you need it to be. That should be the bar, right? Fulfilling your needs, fulfilling their needs, and working off of that rather than, well, it's better, right? Because like what's better than shitty is not great still. It's like, okay, cool, right? So communicate. Even if that little voice in your head's like, well, why do I have to do that? He should know better. He's an adult. He knows what all needs to happen. Does he? He might not, right? So you can come from a place of bitterness and decide not to do it, but you're going to be the one that loses in this equation, okay? When you bring in your partner into this like whole process that you go through every single day, you can raise their level of awareness of how they can be there for you. So you're giving them an opportunity to step up to be the partner that you need, okay? So it's not about telling them what to do. It's more of like, look, this is my experience. These are all the thoughts that flood my mind. This is why I don't feel like having sex sometimes because I'm just so stressed out, right? This is why when we have sex, I can't turn off my brain and I'm not really present. Or this is why when you want to hang out, I just want to go to bed because I just want to like rest because I'm so exhausted from thinking so much and worrying about other people and making sure that everybody's happy. He operates differently. Women and men operate differently. Okay? We societally have been raised to be considerate of everybody, right? Just like think about when you're thinking about like, oh, where should we go out to eat? You don't only think about where you want to eat. You're also thinking about where my kids eat. Will they be able to find something that they want to eat there? Will my husband like it? Right? You're factoring every single person into the equation, and you're probably even putting yourself last on that list of like priority of like who gets a bigger say. But for men, when you ask them, they're quite literal. They're like, I'm just going to answer the question, right? Oh, I want tacos. But for you, you're like, whatever you want, babe. But that's not really your answer. That's just something you've been conditioned to do. Okay? So they're very literal. Use that to your benefit and be like, these are all the things that need to be done. And for me to be present more, to have the capacity to hang out with you and actually enjoy our time together instead of worrying about other things, I need help with these things. Which of these things can you take on so that I have space to breathe? Okay, so there's my rant for today, inspired by my client, because he felt really enlightened by our conversation. I even shared a graphic of like all the things that women think about in a single day. And he was just like, oh my God, okay, I really need to step it up here, right? So communicate your needs, share what's going on with you, but from a place of like, here, like, I just want to share. This is what my experience is, and this is why I am not able to relax or be more like carefree and light and joke around and whatever, right? This is why I'm so serious all the time, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and I'm afraid to drop all the balls, and I feel like I'm in charge of all of it. And if your husband is a good man and truly desires for you to be happy and have a great life, he's going to be like, oh shit, I had no idea. Okay, let's fix this problem. Okay? Because he is there to be your partner. He wants you to be happy. The team does not succeed if there is someone who's drowning and someone who's like thriving. Okay? When you start noticing that you can trust him to take stuff on, you're going to have more space to be able to take care of yourself beyond showering and eating and sleeping, okay? Because that's like just survival stuff. That is not going to contribute to your overall well-being for the long term. That's like bare minimum, okay? Because if you look at your husband, when he needs to take care of himself, he just goes and does it. He communicates like, I'm going to go out with my friends on this date at this time, and then he goes. So in that sense, we got to start being more like them and being mindful of like, oh, I'm about to burn out real soon. I need to go take a break. And then you just ask for it. And by ask, I don't mean permission. I mean like, when's a good time, right? So that we're not making things worse, okay? Just like he does. And then for him, when you fill him in on it, he could be more like you in considering, oh, what are the different pieces that need to be considered to help this family run smoothly, for us to have opportunities to connect as a family, for everyone to be thriving, okay? That's it for this episode. It's quick. It's to the point, and I just knew I had to come on here and share that because it was such a groundbreaking call for my client. He literally had no idea, and now he does. So I'm really excited to see what he does with that. And I hope that you take this as inspiration to do that with your husband so that you can start getting more of your needs met, so that you can take better care of yourself and be able to have the capacity to connect with your husband more going forward, because you just feel so supported. I want you to have a marriage that is full of partnership, where you feel like you are fully supported, like your husband has your back as much as you have his. And in order for that to happen, you have to make the space for that to happen. You have to let him know how to do that, because he is not a mind reader. Okay? I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you back here in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I hope that this episode helped you deepen your relationship with your husband and, more importantly, with yourself. If you know someone that this episode would help, please share it. All right, see you back here next week. Bye.